Do this. Welcome, one and all, to another watch party. I'm just losing my train of thought here. We are doing the Blair Witch Project today. I'm so glad you guys are joining us. My co host today is none other than the Blair Pazuzu Project. Welcome, Pazuzu, once again.
And where I currently am, it is almost as warm as hell, and I do not
Yeah,
like it.
we were just talking about that. There's a lot of places that are going through a heat wave. I now live in a very warm climate as well, but I guess I'm lucky and blessed that I have air conditioning, so it's not too bad. Um, so, anyone else suffering from the heat of this summer? Yeah, give us a
We,
shout. Um,
we don't have air conditioning in the UK. We have heat stroke instead.
uh, yeah, I got a story about that. Yeah. So without further ado, let us get us started. The Blair Witch, we're doing 1999 version, the OG of them all. This is a relatively short movie, about an hour and 20 minutes. It's going to be a great time though. So why don't Mr. Pazuzu, why don't you give us a countdown? Okay, so just a reminder, the sync point is at the very beginning, the zero mark of the movie before the logos. It starts pretty quick once the logos happen, so we don't want to miss anything.
So you
All
want
right.
me to go back to the start of that Lion's Gate swirly thing?
Yes. Depending on what version you have, you're going to get different logos, but we're going to go to the very beginning before the logos. My rental is at the zero mark, and then we go straight into the artisan, and then we have the other logos.
I am currently at the zero mark, and I'm looking
Okay.
at a very nice blank screen.
Okay. All right. Let's count us down there, Mr. Pazuzu.
I think we shall have five, four, three, two, one. Thunderbirds are go.
Hey, that's a great welcome. Um, all right, so yeah, way back when in my early days, I used to live in Phoenix slash Tucson area of Arizona, and that is, it's not just hot. It's yeah, it's heat stroke. It's death if you go outside. To the point where if your air conditioning broke down in the middle of summer, it was an emergency and it was life or death. So, luckily I'm a little bit better than that. It's only I think about 100 degrees today. So, um, right on. Okay, let's get moving with the movie. Let's do
Oh, what three student filmmakers have gone missing in the woods? Oh
yeah.
no.
And a year later, their footage is found. So it's kind of already giving away the plot. So if anybody here has not seen this or know about the Blair Witch movie legacy or the
I
drama
just I
behind
just
it,
have to pick you up on the use of the word plot because I don't believe there is one.
um, I believe there is. So this can be something we can debate whether there is a plot to this movie or whether it's just a mishmash of found footage because this is one of the sort of beginning of the mainstream found footage genre.
Well, kind of
Um,
what they put together with the found footage isn't what they intended to put together. So I don't think it is plotted. But look, my Blu-ray comes with a copy of the book.
yep, I have the same set that you do. Unfortunately, I wish I was watching it on my Blu-ray, but I have to do a rental. I don't have my complete cinema system set up yet. So anyway, let's go back. Let's do shout out to all of you who have joined us today. Over here in YouTube, we have Calbot, Helifino, Miss Swift. We have Eric. Let's see, Alex P.
Oh, and we appear to have lost Sharon. Oh no, what's going on? Obviously, we have a Blair Witch in the electronics. Let us just see whether we can raise Sharon by alternative means. And she's back.
Wrong button. I just hit the wrong button trying to scroll down this list. Okay, so we've got Helifino, Alex Peacock, Eric, Miss Swift. Oh, Johnny Devick's with us.
Yeah, when you
Uh,
disappeared, the others wanted us all to go and look for you, but I said it would be safer if we stuck together.
don't look for me in the woods, guys. Do not come look for me in the woods. Absolutely not. Um, yeah. So the internet gremlins, not today. I'm crossing my fingers. So over in Discord, who do we have? We have Mr. Furzel. Let's see. We have Alex Peacock. We have Eric. We have Calbot over in Discord as well. So real quick shout out. When I was kind of shouting out to the people who are running the Discord server, because I'm not running the Discord. Leanne is also, I think, part of the administration of that Discord server. So I want to shout out to Leanne. Thank you guys so much for running that Discord server for us to get in there and do our chat. I appreciate it. Okay, so yeah, let's just dive into this. Um, so yeah, is there anybody that hasn't seen this? Um, or has anybody seen? I think there are a couple of sequels, and then we have
Yeah, Eric has just mentioned when he got the US VHS, it came with the movie and the mockumentary Curse of the Blair Witch. Now, the thing is, I understood that a lot of the stuff that was in Curse of the Blair Witch was kind of what they'd actually intended to have as the actual movie. But this stuff, that when they get out into the woods, kind of ended up taking over, and all the other stuff, which really gives you all the backstory, kind of
mhm,
ends up as a glorified feature length DVD extra.
mm, um, yeah, yeah, interesting point. There's a whole legacy behind this movie. Um, and in particular, the Blair Witch, um, the story of the Blair Witch, which we all know now is part of the movie. This is the movie backstory that kind of sucked
Ex-
these kids into making this documentary.
yeah, but there's a huge amount of what is the actual story isn't in the film itself. It's in
Right.
supplementary materials. It's in books. It's in marketing materials from back at the time. So
Exactly.
when they was first screening this at festivals to promote it, they were handing out missing billboard notices for the cast members. Yeah, have you seen Heather Donahoe? Missing, presumed dead. Yeah,
Exactly.
reward
When
offered for information.
Yes, when this hit the theaters, so James, you're in the UK, I'm here in the States, and I believe they marketed the movie the same way, is to give you the belief that this really happened to these kids. They were researching, going to do a documentary on the curse of the Blair Witch,
Yeah, I mean the
and
internet was
so
very basic, so have
exactly,
we didn't
they
have
even
easy
had a
access so that you could check this stuff was true. Now,
right.
I think the original Blair Witch website is still live, and it looks like it would have back then, flipping awful. But yeah, they sort of it's as much a story about a viral marketing campaign
Yes.
as it is a movie.
Yes. And so I know that there was a discussion. I think it was Mr. Furzel. Um, Mr. Furzel was saying when this flick first came out, not only did I think it was real, like most folks, but since I lived in Maryland, I was like, let me see the police reports. That's how I reacted to it when I saw it in the theater, knowing very little because the internet was still kind of in its infancy. I didn't get all of the spoilers and the hype on the internet like you do today.
Yeah.
And I saw the movie, and all that kept going through my head was, holy cow, is this real? How did they pull this off? So logically, I'm going through it in my head. So, how did the police find this footage? Why is there not an investigation? Why didn't it make the mainstream news? Why is this not a bigger deal? And then slowly it's exposed that no, this is just a movie. This is how they marketed it. This is the hype behind it. And it was almost like, wow, I feel like I've been lied to, but yet brilliantly. Thank you. This is a great movie in how they did it. Um, so, yes, and old Johnny Devick was saying the cast had to go into hiding. They were told once it hit with, like you said, James, the missing posters,
Oh,
they were
they
everywhere.
actually went and edited their IMDb pages to mark them as
Uh-huh.
being deceased.
Exactly. All of this marketing and this hype played it as real. They were told, the cast, first of all, they used the cast's real name. That's their real name. So their family was getting sympathy cards and flowers because everyone thought these kids were dead or missing.
And kind of people
That,
don't look at you to hire you in another movie if they think you're
no.
dead.
If they think, yeah, exactly, then you tend not to get
So
work involved with
it has certain negative career consequences for the three
it.
young
Uh-huh.
people.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, and so Miss Swift was saying I saw a very grainy version on my computer. We weren't sure if it was real at the time because we heard conflicting stuff. Yeah, and like the rest of the world, I tried to do my research, and eventually it did come around that it was no, these were just actors in a low budget movie, um, and it was very gripping. I think in more so of a way than like paranormal activity was, even though that is also a found footage.
I would
It
I would say that in modern horror cinema, Paranormal Activity is probably the more important film because I think all the found footage stuff you get is far more aping the style of that than it is of this. This is something it's caught on the cusp between
Mhm.
analog being replaced by digital. So it's kind of part of a more old fashioned world than Paranormal Activity is.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, that's right. Late '90s. There wasn't. Yeah, we were going from analog to digital. We were going into streaming. I think streaming was around. I think Netflix started the streaming kind of in its infancy, I believe.
I
Was it
don't think
late
so.
90s?
I think the Netflix was
Mm,
renting DVDs on demand because we were
right.
still at this point at the position
They
where
were
people were buying VHS tapes. They weren't streaming things.
right. There was a time in history where the
2007
first
is when Netflix switches to starts doing streaming. So
streaming. So yeah, there was a point where if you had a Netflix subscription and you were paying, I mean, this I remember this. You were paying like $8 or $9 a month, and you were at that point you were doing the DVDs in the mail. that they would start certain movies you can stream, which was a big deal back then because no one else was doing it. So if you were paying Netflix $8 a month, you could stream 8 hours of content. I don't know who else remembers this. Does anybody else remember this? Because one of the very first movies I remember streaming this way was the movie Peaches. And Hugo Weaving was in it. And this was, I can't even remember the year. I don't know. Maybe someone can throw a year out for me when this started, but um, yeah, that was something for Netflix to do that. And now it's all streaming. You can't do DVDs anymore. Oh, Miss Swift, you remember sort of, yeah. Um, yeah, but I remember that movie Peaches. So yeah, back to these poor teenagers don't know what they're getting into.
Well, they're kind of being told scary stories by the fishermen
Mhm.
about bad things that have happened in these
Bad
woods.
things.
People
Oh, Miss
dying, people
said,
disappearing.
yeah, it's kind of sad. The actors in particular, Heather Donahue, keeps getting screwed over by being in this. I wasn't it because they didn't have a contract to have like money on the back end where you get points for
Yeah, but
the
it's it,
success of
it,
it.
it, it's also that Heather got gets, I think she still does, a lot of hate for her sort of
Mm.
a screaming performance, and a lot of it very misogynistic. The commentary on it online.
Mhm. Well, I think after this movie, she has been in a couple of things
She
that
was in
I
Steven
remember.
Spielberg's TV series
Taken.
Taken.
Yep. Um, I remember seeing that a while ago, and it's this massive, what, 10-hour miniseries.
Yeah,
It got lost in the
apparently,
shuffle.
apparently she is now a medical marijuana grower, having
Yeah, I don't
retired
know.
from acting.
Yeah, I know she was doing that for a while. Now she lives, I think she still lives back east. I don't know. Is she still in the medical marijuana? I'm not sure. She's kind of drop off the face of the earth quite a little bit.
Mm.
Um,
But basically, things haven't worked very well for her since, and
yeah.
I know the three of them have periodically sued the distributors to get more money, and I think initially they were like given like 50 grand each to go away or something, and later later on managed to get it up to a six-figure sum.
Oh,
But
Jody Devick is saying they should offer guided hiking tours. That would be phenomenal in the same woods that they shot this movie. Um, so what?
obviously they'd have to make you pay in advance for your tour.
Well, you would have to. With you'd have to sign a waiver. There's no guarantee that we will get back safely when we to the same place that we left. Um, so what's funny is in the initial within the initial release of this movie, it was always touted as this low budget movie, and I had always heard that it was about $35,000 to make this movie. And it had made sense to me because really this whole movie is shot with the equipment that these kids are carrying. They each have different cameras. They have Mike has the audio equipment, and then Josh and Heather have the videos. And comes to find out, in reality, this movie cost anywhere from what, 300 to $500,000 to make because of all the post production work. So I wonder if they put If
It was
if they did pay these actors like a lump sum to just go away and we don't want to pay you anymore, if that would be included.
Yeah, I think it was about 25 grand for up until the point they'd finished filming in the woods. And then post production maybe took it up to a couple of 100,000. But
Hmm.
really, all the spend isn't film after that point, it's just marketing.
Yeah, that's really what it was. Not as low budget as we were led to believe. Not as it was relatively unscripted. They did have plot points they had to follow. A large chunk of the dialogue throughout this movie is improvised, and they're kind of flying by the seat of their pants. But it wasn't as down and dirty and gritty as we're led to believe, obviously. But as you're experiencing it for the first time, it feels pretty damn gritty. Um, and all is well with the world. These kids want to go out and make their movie, and they're in the woods. Seems like nothing could go wrong. They've got a map and a compass, and Heather seems to know exactly where she's going.
I can
So
see
we'll
in the
see.
comments we're getting some love for Taken
Mhm.
from Alex Peacock and Ms. Swift.
Yep. Yep.
Obviously,
Alex Taken was good. Yep.
I think the first episode in particular is quite scary of that because that was one that Toby Hooper directed, which
Um,
it kind of lends into. You get this whole thing people talk about post Poltergeist about Hooper and Spielberg falling out, and I've always thought that's BS because Hooper kept being hired to work on Spielberg's TV projects, and if they'd fallen out and really hated each other, why would Spielberg keep giving him jobs? Just
yeah.
say,
Exactly. Yeah. Don't believe everything you read on the internet. Oh, Mr. Furzel commented, I've been to Frederick a few times, but I never heard of Burkittsville. So that's true. Was this whole town made up? Um, or did they actually film this in the town of Frederick? Which is cute.
no,
Which is cute. They really did
Burkittsville
film it in
is a
Maryland.
village in the county of Frederick.
Mm.
So Frederick is a big place and has this somewhere in it.
Um, Okay, Alex Peacock commented, I think it suffered from some post X Files backlash. Yeah, and going back to Taken, um, yeah, and it's so funny. It was this big deal back in what 2001, 2002. I had not even heard of it until what maybe 5 years ago.
If you can
Um,
find a DVD of it,
yeah,
it's worth picking up. It's a good watch. Very much tapping into X Files, Dark
mhm.
Skies, alien conspiracy stuff. I'm actually not sure it did it any favors having the Steven Spielberg name to it because that perhaps makes you think it's going to be a bit more at that time kiddie friendly than it necessarily is.
Right. Especially, I think the last episode was was not really kid friendly. Had really adult themes. Um,
Well, you have
but
lots of people being
yeah,
kidnapped
it's
and
interesting.
tortured by really horrible aliens. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's not ET.
Yeah, it takes place over decades of time,
It
and
starts in
it's
the
not
Second World
complicated.
War and it ends in the present
Alien.
day.
Yep, yep. So it starts in the Second World War, and then it just like this evolution of well, I don't want to give too much away. It's, you know what, it is worth a watch if you guys check it out. I know it's, I think I saw it on, it was on YouTube or, and I've been meaning to get the DVD set. I know it's available on eBay. So, for anybody interested, there's my 2 cents.
Just don't make a dreadful mistake and buy a Liam Neeson film instead.
Why? He's got a certain set of skills. Oh, and for it, I heard that he is he's in the new what Naked Gun relaunch, and he plays the Leslie Nielsen character, or was someone just pulling my
Yeah, that just looks bad from the trailer.
leg? Hmm. Yes. Alex was saying Taken one was good, the others not so much.
I
Again,
mean,
I've got such franchise fatigue that I'll give the first movie notice.
maybe Neeson can do it. I mean, I loved his George Peppard impression in the 18, but that's about it. I can't think of much else to say about him.
Yeah. Well, let's just say, I mean, there's good franchises, bad franchises. They all have their ups and downs. I'm just burnt out on when studios and the Hollywood production system drives them into the ground and ruins the franchise name as a whole. And it just makes us so sick and tired of them. And they start off with something original and they ruin it without fail. Um, so, yes, Taken One was good. I love this Blair Witch. I didn't see the sequels. I have no interest in seeing the sequels. Nothing good could come of this. Oh yes, Johnny Devick, Jurassic World, something. Anyone? Yes,
Well,
there
I
you
mean,
go.
the first sequel is sort of it's like a pretty typical studio cash-in where they've got a big hit, they own the name, they own the rights, they want something in the cinema the following summer, except they don't understand what it is they've got, and so produce something that's not found footage, that has no ambiguity, and is not very good.
Yep, yep. You know what? Paranormal Activity suffered the same fate. The first one was brilliant. It was original. And the second one, I made the mistake of seeing, and I think I saw the third one, thinking it's got to get better. And all it did was kind of help me understand the story a little bit, help understand the lore, and then I stopped watching. Um, but so all is still well with these kids in the woods. Um,
But
they're not
it's
freaked
night
out right
time.
now.
There are creepy noises, and there
Exactly.
are creepy things appearing in the trees, and
Exactly. But they're
it's
not
all.
too scared just yet. And in interviews, um, they were, I think it was Heather that basically said during the day was the scariest time. At night, they knew who was doing all of this scary activity. It was the production crew. They were the ones making the noises, so they had to act scared, but it really wasn't scary. Um, and I think these kids do a very good job of acting lost. Um, they were in an environment that walking around for days and days and days, you could feel very disoriented and feel very lost. What was it? 8 days of filming, I believe, in the woods. So I give them credit for their believability and a light script where they get to improvise basically where they're at with their characters doesn't hurt. Miss Swift, it's just a 3 hour, I mean, tour. They'll be right back. Yeah. Yeah. Did you notice that Josh was singing the Gilligan's Island theme before? Oh, Johnny Devitt, Megan 2.0, and yes, Joker Part Dos. They had the same issue. Studio doesn't know what was they don't studios don't know what was successful. And they just take a franchise and beat it and beat it and beat it, try to get every last dollar they can from the audience without delivering a quality product.
Well,
It's a tale as old as time.
by the sound of it, this year's big hit is going to be Superman, as although the reviews were mixed, the word of mouth coming out of the cinemas seems to be very good.
Alex Peacock just mentioned that he saw the new Superman today. Quality film. We'll be seeing the new Jurassic Park this week. Um, yeah, I'm holding out my opinion on the new Superman because I haven't seen it yet, uh, and I'll wait to see it. Maybe when it comes on streaming, or if I'm lucky enough to be able to get to a movie theater. Um, we'll see. Sometimes there's a discrepancy with the audience score and what the reviewers are saying. Usually, what that means is the reviewers have in their head what they want this movie to be, and maybe are more unforgiving than an audience, right? And if you as the audience member go into a movie expecting it to be something, then you will be disappointed when it's not. If you go in like loving the franchise, Superman's a good example. If you go in loving the franchise and have an open mind as to the new direction they're taking,
Well,
you'll have
the problem you tend to get with all the things like Superman and Batman is that they're always being made in reaction to something else. So basically, every Batman we've had since 1989 has, in effect, they've been making it in reaction to Batman 1966 by always saying, we're going to be like dark and gritty and take it seriously. And similarly, it sounds like this Superman is a reaction to the quite dark and overly serious Zack Snyder sort of take on it, where some of the criticism might be that it's gone too far into the light-hearted
yeah,
side. But
that's true. You've got a director taking it in a new direction. So, I mean, do you go into it with an open mind and enjoying it for what it is?
what I'd like is
This
for
is the
someone to
problem
make a
I have.
Batman film who says, we've had enough of it being dark and gritty. What we want are people with dad bods running around with a bomb.
Alex is saying for what it is, it works. Okay. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, Mr. Furzel, I feel ya. You know, the Amazon ads, God forbid they would be things I might actually buy. Well, sometimes they're advertising for the service that you're already using. Um, yeah, I feel for you. I ended up renting this because I just don't want to deal with ads. I sometimes I have to, but yeah,
I mean, quite often I've got streaming copies of films I've got on disc anyway, because
yeah,
I'll download them when I go away on holiday somewhere.
yep. There you go.
Because we don't get that. You used to get the thing quite often over here where you get an ultraviolet streaming copy when you bought the physical copy, but they just took that away and they all vanished in the UK. So now
Oh,
we just get a physical copy and that's it.
oh, I remember those days. You get a streaming copy with your physical copy. I
Yeah.
remember.
except
The good old days.
they turned the studios turned their websites off that supported it. So if you did have any content, you lost it all.
Yep. And I think a couple weeks ago, didn't we have this conversation about your
Well,
uh,
Miss
your
Swift says that
digital
they used to
purchases?
have that too. I make the point in the US, you still do have that because you see a lot of US titles are
Yeah,
listed that they'll have the 4K, the Blu-ray, and a streaming copy
yeah.
all
And I
bundled
think
into
they're doing
one,
away with
whereas
that.
we don't. We just get a physical copy and that's it.
Yeah, and I think that's where here in the states we've gone through that too. Um, I think I could be mistaken, but the last DVDs that I have bought didn't have the streaming version as well. It was just the hard copy. But yeah, Alex was saying the digital copy you own is gone. Now it's digital you
Yeah.
access. And even these services will tell you just because you buy it or doesn't mean you own it. As soon as we delete it from our library, you don't own it. You really don't own it. You just own unlimited access rights. Um, so I think that's the backlash that
It's
is
so
causing people to go back to the hard copies.
so as an example, with the Sean Connery James Bond 4K set they've just done, in the UK, you just get the 4K disc. Unless you have the Steelbook, then you get a Blu-ray too. But on the US
Mhm.
edition, you get a digital code that allows you to watch it anywhere on some service, but I don't know what.
I think Miss Swift was saying Voodoo. Is that what you were implying that you would get the streaming service on Voodoo now? Um,
Don't know what voodoo is, unless
yeah,
it's something that involves drums, dolls,
no,
bad things
Voodoo.
happening.
Think is I think they used to be an independent streaming service. If I'm not mistaken, are they owned by Walmart now? And it's a pretty big one here in the states. Um, oh, okay. This is the first drama in the movie. Well, besides them kind of being lost, is Heather doesn't have the map, and I'd be freaking out if I was her. Um, and she's
I'd be
basically
firing
using.
up Google Maps.
Oh yeah, too bad they didn't think of that. You know, they wouldn't be lost if they had their smartphones and with
Or
satellite.
alternatively, you just go for the traditional, the sun rises in the whatever it is and sets in the whatever it is, and I'll just use that to go in a straight line in one direction, and
Yeah,
eventually I'll find something.
you would think that would be the most logical thing is to
Or
to follow the water. Is
or
don't
if
you
you've got
learn
if
that
you've got a
probably?
paper clip, you can magnetize it and put it on a leaf with some water, and you'll make yourself a compass. So
Really,
I would
exactly, Miss Smith.
MacGyver my way back to civilization.
Um, you either follow the sun or follow the river. I was always told you follow the river downstream and you will find civilization. Um, yeah, Johnny Devick, they can't take a nap. I think they're kind of losing it. This is their third day, I believe. They've spent 2 nights and they're now to the point where they've realized they're hopelessly lost. If not, that panic sets in because they don't have a map to get out. But from what I saw of the map, it really wasn't a detailed map anyway that could have helped them get out. But yeah, seriously, guys, don't panic. You follow the water and you will reach someone or something. You don't go deeper into the woods. I don't like necessarily backpacking out there, and I know that. But thank God they have smokes. They're not panicking, they've got smokes. So, does anybody know what happened to these two gentlemen, Mike and Josh? Did they go on to fame and fortune in Hollywood? Did they drop out of movie making, and did they just lead a nice, quiet life?
I
I don't
don't
know.
think
I'm wondering.
I I don't think anyone involved has gone on to much in the way of anything. They've kind so right. Michael C. Williams has a small filmography. So a couple of guest appearances in Law and Order and a handful of movies I've never heard of. Joshua Leonard, he has
Oh,
rather
sure,
more
sure.
movies, none of which I've heard of. Rather more
Yeah.
television series, but none, all sort of one shots, but none of which I've really heard anything of. I think the directors each just tried to recreate the Blair Witch doing other found footage films, none of which amounted to anything.
Okay. Miss Swift is saying Josh, I think, was in the Hatchet movies. Calbot saying IMDb shows they each have credits going into the 2020s, so at least they're working.
Yeah,
And
Josh has a lot more credits,
I think so. And he's
but
also a producer, writer, and director, it looks like. So he's behind the scenes.
as I said, they're very. He's in. Generally, he's got some horror projects he's had parts in that I recognise but wouldn't say are good. Yeah, Michael Williams, not
Um,
really. Although, yeah, you're sort of looking at something every year until 2009, and then very little now.
yeah. So this is the part of the movie I find kind of unrealistic where Mike is admitting to taking the map and kicking it in the river. Um, I just, from a character standpoint, it just doesn't make sense because they're not really freaking out at this point. And they, up until now, they really haven't freaked out about being lost, so to speak. They were frustrated. They were frustrated at Heather because she was the one that kept saying she knows where she's going. Obviously, she didn't. And so Mike is now admitting he kicked it in the river. I'm just not buying it. So to me, this feels rather scripted and convenient from a plot standpoint. So he would have to get rid of the map. Um, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like the behavior of someone who was just angry. I could be wrong.
Mm.
Yeah, Miss Swift, I never understood why he would do that. Yeah, it seems to me it would be more from if you've absolutely lost it and you've gone insane from being lost in the woods, you're starving and you're getting dehydrated and you've actually gone batshit crazy, right? Legit. That you would do something so stupid like that, but I don't know. Yeah. Alex says, I wonder why they didn't have multiple copies of the map. Maybe a couple maps, couple compasses, an emergency beacon, maybe. Yeah, but these poor kids, they're so lost. Ah, um, so part of the lore behind this movie is the reason their footage was found because it never should have been found based on how this movie ends, that it was actually found in or on top of a pile of rocks in the middle of the woods. And I guess a search party that was searching for these kids or someone came upon this and their footage was found. Not the cameras per se, but I think just the video of it. Um, so for anybody that did not see this movie, how this ends would not lend itself to this footage being found easy. So, how scared would you be walking in the woods and coming up on this? Anybody? Just be scared shitless? I would. I would. Absolutely. Oh, Mr. Furzel, yes. When things go south, people start getting angry, and it has nothing to do with race or gender or politics. It is human nature. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, yeah, okay. So Eric is saying it was found in the foundations of the house at the end, right? Or parts of the foundation. Miss Swift is saying found in the foundation of the Austin Parr house.
Rusty Purr,
Rusty, yes, it was Rusty Parr. Um,
which is an anagram of Rasputin.
yes. And I guess they took it from, I guess, a real life person, I guess. Like his character was inspired from a real life person. Yeah. So Eric and Miss Swift, I remember the lore of this movie saying the footage was found like in a bag in the open, not necessarily in the foundation of the house, but it could very well have been. Okay, so Eric just Googled it. Buried under the foundation of a 100-year-old cabin in Burkittsville. How would they find it in the foundation? They come across. They must have come across the house and did some digging. This would be 10 times scarier if there was just one person. If Heather went out there by herself, um, I can imagine how the story would evolve a little different, all by herself, l- losing her mind, being lost, and knowing there's nothing she could do to get out because she doesn't have help. Ah, Eric, thank you. In the sequel, The Book of Shadows, the group visited the site, the foundation site where they found the footage. After all of these years, okay, we know this movie is fake, right? There's no Blair Witch, and these are just a bunch of kids acting. Does this movie still hold a sense of fear and dread after seeing it 30 years later than the first time you saw it? What is everyone's impression of seeing this movie versus when it first came out? I am very curious. Oh, Alex is saying it now holds a sense of comedy. Yeah, I think in a way it does because we can kind of laugh at the elements of it. Johnny Devick, I dread the camera quality and shaking. there's a lot of that. Hell if I know. This is only the second time I think I saw this all the way through, and the first time was in the theaters. I think it still holds up because it feels real. It
Yeah,
does.
you
It
do
does.
get a lot of people who will complain that it's no good now they know it's not real. But I
Mhm.
do wonder how those people manage to enjoy any film.
Can't
Unless
argue with you
unless
there.
they
Really.
basically unless they exclusively watch snuff movies, I'm not really sure what enjoyment they'd be getting from the cinema.
Yeah, it's yeah, oh yeah. I mean, there's a big long discussion about that as well. Um, we know all cinema is fake. Johnny Devitt brings up a good point. Cannibal Holocaust is scarier still. Yes, that uh, that movie I saw once, and I think it was because the last drive-in with Joe Bob Briggs. I think they either showcased that movie or he was talking about it. So I went out and found it and watched it and was just horrified because it did have more of a sense of realism than even this movie. And parts of Cannibal Holocaust were actually real, and they almost got in a lot of trouble for it.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
the
there's a
director was even
I think there's a
arrested.
lot of genuine animal cruelty,
Yes,
and people actually were worried that some of the human cruelty might be real too.
exactly. Um, so that is one movie I will not go back and watch just because it is too real, and I expect a sense of you expect a movie to be fake. You expect it to be entertainment. Um, the found footage movies bring that extra element of this is real. This was not intended to be a fake movie. This is just found footage, people taking their own video, and it's supposed to add to your terror. It's supposed to add to your movie going experience. So we can still enjoy these found footage movies, but there comes a point, Cannibal Holocaust, where it's kind of crosses the line. And yeah, I won't go there. Okay, so Mike is the calm one. Josh is the one that's freaking out at the moment, but they still are kind of holding it together. Oh, Johnny Devick, the director, got into jail, I think. Yeah, the director of Cannibal Holocaust was arrested for murder because of how real it was, but it didn't stick. There were no actual murders of human beings. There were animals that were actually killed on screen, and I think that's uh, yeah, Miss Swift. Same here. The on-camera animal butchery is probably why I'll never watch it. Yeah. So if it helps, we should all start screaming at the movie and just telling these kids, follow the river. I mean, are they not following the sun at least and walking in the same direction?
Yeah, old Johnny Devick's
Um,
Supernatural has lots of found footage spoofs. They bring back their own found footage team, the Ghost Facers, in several episodes to be killed horribly. See, whatever you want to see in the horror genre, you can almost certainly find it in somewhere in the 15 seasons of Supernatural.
Somewhere. 15 years. Unbelievable. That's a good run. It's unheard of for a TV show. So it does occur to me that they could be following the river, but because of the curse of the Blair Witch that they're probably caught up in, the witch is taking them in circles. Or there is
If you're following
a
a river,
theory
you
about
can't be taken
time.
in circles unless the river goes in a circle, because you're following a physical landmark.
Right, in the real world. But again, we're dealing with
But they're
this
not
movie.
following a river, they're wandering around in the woods and going, look, a log. We saw that earlier.
Yeah, so they're coming across the same log that they did earlier. Um, but so there's another theory about a time jump that they're in because of the cabin. Um, there was a theory online about that the Rusty Parr did what he did to these children back in the 40s, and when within these three teenagers walking into the woods and getting lost, they did a time jump back to the 40s and ended up at the cabin, and it was actually Rusty Parr, not the Blair Witch, that is tormenting them. So whether or not we can make a case for that, something is going on. Either they are not following the river or they are following the river, and it's just, it's cursing them and they are really just not getting anywhere. Thank you, Johnny Devick. We need a movie where some kids see an ultra high def where they are damned to die in 7 days and start the movie in the woods without a map. So that's kind of taking the Ring and the Ring Blair Witch crossover. There you go. And yes, Johnny Devick without Google Maps. The only way that a horror movie today can exist with this same scenario is if they lose their phone, they have no batteries in their phone, um, no satellite phone, no nothing. Because yeah, you realistically can't get lost um,
Well,
unless
then
you're
before your
trying to.
battery dies on your phone and you lose signal the last time, just change your voicemail recording to say that, help,
Hmm.
I'm lost in the woods. Please send help.
Yeah, there you go. And
Because people will still ring you up and they'll get that
yep.
message and they might send someone to the woods. Or not.
If you're lucky enough to have any kind of signal in the woods, they can ping your location with the satellite these days. And that's the main reason why I got the phone I did. It has satellite capabilities because I used to live in the middle of nowhere that had no cell service. Yeah, Alex. Yeah, turn on your GPS and text your coordinates.
Send them
Bingo.
your what 3 words.
Yep. But going back to 1999, cell phones were not commonplace. I think it was a thing, but it wasn't like everybody had one. And Heather, throughout this movie, really put herself in position of the bad guy, if you want to, call her that. Uh, gung ho, pretty self confident, and told these guys that she kind of knew everything.
Well, she is the
And really
director.
didn't.
She is trying to be in control.
Yeah, maybe a little bit too confident too. She's the one that said she did all the research on the Blair Witch, so she went in just a little bit, maybe too self confident. Yeah, Alex was saying 1999 year the height of cell phones were the Motorola Matrix phone. Anybody remember those? No. Nope. So at this point, they are, I think this is 4 days. And so now they're waking up to the fifth day, if I'm not mistaken. So they've probably run out of food. They have water, you're right. They have canteens, so that at least they have water.
I'm sure they could find woodland grubs and mealworm and things they could feast on.
Well, yeah, didn't she have that backpacking guidebook? Read the book.
You know, you don't just go straight from we're out of food to dying of starvation or cannibalism as your only two options.
Exactly. Exactly. We're not there yet. But to add a little twist to the plot, now Josh is missing.
He was kind of annoying, so I take that as a
Okay, Eric, very good point. Well, you can walk like 10 kilometers in 2 hours. So if you would walk for 8 hours straight, you could do 40 kilometers easy. So you would be able to cover a lot of land. But if a witch keeps you there, well, you're screwed. Yeah, I think that's part of the plot that is maybe some of the backstory is that she's the one that keeps them walking in a loop because it was Heather that not too long ago was telling them it's impossible to get lost because eventually we walk long enough and we're going to come across something and we'll get out of the woods. That's assuming you're walking in a straight line and you're assuming the witch isn't screwing you over. On a side note, here's a little movie I'm going to tuck in your guys' brain. If anybody has heard of this, more kudos to you. Doing a little bit of research today, I came across a movie that was playing on Amazon Prime on their free service, which is going away in about a month or two. And it was called The Car from 1977, starring James Brolin and Ronnie Cox.
with an opening mouth voiceover from the chap who was the leader of the Church of Satan in the US.
Okay, you've heard. I had never heard of it. I caught the last
I
10
have
minutes of it.
The Arrow UK Blu-ray of The Car. It is a favourite film of Guillermo del Toro, who owns a replica of The Car.
Interesting. I caught the last 10 minutes of it and I was
There-
fascinated. So I think
There's a
it's a
big
movie
black
we're
car.
going to revisit
It
it.
drives around killing people. It might have
Uh-huh.
Satan as a driver. That's
It
all you
could
need to know.
be. And I'm not going to give any spoilers because I saw the end. Now I need to go back and watch the rest of it. But in my head, I was thinking that this in some way had to have inspired Stephen King's story from a Buick 8, which is a book I read. And it's one of Stephen King's adaptations. I guess they're not making a movie or TV show of it, but it's a kind of a bizarro car story like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, check it out, guys. It was a really good last 10 minutes. And that's so funny, James. You heard of it. That's so cool. Yep. The car from 1977.
Anton LaVey, I think it is, who does the satanic voiceover at the start.
See, I have not seen the beginning of it, but it is,
Church
I
of
think it's funny.
Church of Satan leader Anton LaVey was the
Jeez.
technical advisor on the film.
Okay.
James
Miss Swift, I always
Brolin.
remember the poor woman and the living room trying to be oblique and avoid spoilers. Yeah, no spoilers. I'm not going to give any spoilers on that. But yeah, what was the reference about the poor woman and the living room? Is that just kind of like going way over my head? Um, Man, I mean, this movie is just kind of moving along. Um, we have a less than 20 minutes left.
Yeah.
Um, as so, one little nugget that I found very useful this last time when I was doing my pre-watch yesterday. A little bit of history on the cameras they're using. Heather has, um, ah, I don't even know the make and model of it, but her camera does not have an external mic. It's just got the video. And it's this little camcorder that she's holding. So she doesn't pick up the audio. It's Josh's camera. That's the black and white one that has the internal speaker and the microphone. So it's the one that's picking up the audio. And it is funny, I didn't know that until yesterday, but now that I'm looking at how these cameras work, the color versus the black and white, there you go.
Uh, I see old Johnny Devick suggested a few minutes back they could have gone for what I call the Capricorn One plan of splitting up with one person going in each direction in the hope that one of them finds help. I call that the Capricorn One plan. That's the film about the fake Mars landing because the runaway astronauts split up like that to escape their pursuers. Go, O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
He had the
Well,
juice.
there's something to be said with, covering more ground. It just is pretty foolish.
And obviously, Capricorn 1, by pure coincidence, was the film James Brolin made right after The Car.
Ah, there you go. We've got a connection. Oh, thank you, Calbot. Okay, neither camera records sound. It's just that since Josh went missing, Mike is carrying both the sound equipment and the black and white film cam. Oh, okay. So that is um, a bit more in depth than what I had heard about the camera. Okay, Miss Swift. Regarding the car, the woman being James Brolin's character's girlfriend. Gotcha. I know. Hell if I know. Why did she just set the camera down to record her consoling Mike? Why do that? Um, yeah, I. That's one of the other issues with them being in a panic. They're lost. Now. This is like the most horrific scene in the
Ooh,
teeth. And she's still filming. They don't put the cameras away. They don't do anything that normal people would do.
a tongue and a tooth, and ooh.
Yep. That really is a human tooth, by the way. They borrowed that from a dental office.
Did they
Well,
borrow a tongue as well?
um, I think that was fake. The tooth is real. That is Josh's shirt. But I think what we're supposed to get from the fact that they don't ever put their cameras down is that they are in their core, they are filmmakers. They want to make the film. And even when their world is ending, they're still filming.
It
Thank
is
you, Eric.
it
He
is
is
the
like those
problem
YouTubers filming
you get
everything.
it is the problem you get with all found footage films, that there's always the moment where you're left thinking, why the hell are you still filming things? Why haven't you just dropped it and run like?
Um, and that, yes, Miss Swift, the camera is her sanity and security blanket. It's how she's retaining her grip. Yes, that is, if they put their equipment away, then all they are is just lost in the woods. And I think they can still maintain, hey, we're filmmakers, let's get this, let's document this, because we're still just making a film, right? Whereas, yes, James, and so your point of just put the damn camera down at a certain point, put the camera down, you're not, this is not, you're not making a movie anymore.
Yeah,
But
it's kind of, you can either run away from Cloverfield or take a video recording of it. You can't do both.
it's, so yeah,
And
Cloverfield
I,
could be lumped
and
in that as well.
I would be big on running away from the monster.
Exact. I'd put my camera down and that would be the last thing I'd want to worry about. But so then we can go back to another type of found footage, which would be the paranormal activity route, where most of what we're seeing is by stationary cameras placed in the home to capture the activity. So it's not reliant on people holding it, people focusing on certain scenes. This is security cameras that would capture it,
I mean,
and
there was
that's more realistic.
quite a clever one over the pandemic called Host, that
Uh
was
huh. Yep.
basically about a
Exactly.
possessed Zoom meeting. So you were seeing
Yep.
everything out of their computer cameras.
Yep. That's another type that came out because of the pandemic. Everything is caught on Zoom. And again, the camera, what it captures is independent of the person filming it. That is almost more realistic these days than kids holding onto cameras and just, well, actually,
Which, which,
kids filming
which is
everything is
where you
more
get stuff
realistic
in,
today anyway.
which is where you get stuff in films where they piece it together from security cameras and
Yeah.
traffic cameras and things like that.
Yep. But again, you made the comment about the YouTubers,
Well, we've got
content
Cowbot
creators.
saying Halloween Resurrection, where
Yep.
everyone wears a camera. And let us not forget where someone can beat up Michael Myers.
Yep. Ugh. So then you have that aspect of the filmmaking, content creators, and it seems like in today's
So,
world, everybody wants to be a content creator. So everyone's filming everything they do. They don't even think about not filming. So everything is content.
so I think, taking the Halloween Resurrection point, the key mistake that they made in this was not taking Buster Rhymes into the woods with them,
Hmm.
because he would have drop kicked the Blair Witch into submission.
Yeah. Yeah. That movie came out right after, what is it, Halloween H2O, 20 years later.
Which was really good.
Um, which I think, that was a good swan song, and it should have really been the end. I bought that movie, and I believed it hook, line, and sinker. That would be a great way of ending the story. But then, of course, it doesn't.
It
And
was
it
a
doesn't.
much better ending for Jamie Lee Curtis's character
Mm.
than Evil Dies Tonight, the new Halloween trilogy. Evil Dies Tonight.
Oh,
They
well,
should have
you know
taken
what?
Michael C. Hall into the woods with them. There'd have been none of this crying in front of the camera. They'd have been charging around with burning torches saying, Evil dies tonight.
Yeah, I will. You know what? I'll give that Halloween trilogy, the new one, I'll give them credit for trying something new, going at it a different angle. I liked it
Evil dies tonight.
until yeah, until the end. I was kind of let down, but at least that is really the only fitting way that Michael Myers could die. I mean, really, he's got to be dead, deader than dead at this point.
He could get
But I
better.
won't give any spoilers. Oh, and speaking of Deader Than Dead, man, this movie has flown by. This is the last night of their adventure in the woods.
By their adventure in the woods, you mean their lives.
Their adventure in the woods.
It's the last night of their
It's the
lives.
And there you go. No truer words have been spoken than holy shit, there's a house. Yep. And so what do? They go into the house. Knowing the legend full well about Rusty Parr and what he did, I don't know who else they think this house belongs to, but hey, let's go into the house. Okay, so Miss Swift hasn't seen Kills or Ends yet, so yep, no spoilers. It's worth a watch. I think just you got to finish the trilogy. Um, yeah. So interesting. This last scene, Mike is the one with the microphone. He's got the audio equipment on him still. Old Johnny Devick. At least Freddy's death was the end of Freddy. Never say never. Never say never. So I think coming in this house and seeing what they're seeing on the walls, wouldn't that scare you to death to no end? And you would be like, "Get me the hell out of this house." But they're still making their movie. It feels like they're still making their movie, and yeah. Oh, Cowbot! I watched Late Night with the Devil a few days ago, and I really liked it for the most part. That's on my watch list. I want to watch that. So they're hearing screaming in the distance, and I guess they're thinking it's Josh because I think it does sound like Josh. Yeah, Eric, they're using the night vision to see.
Can you scream if your tongue has been ripped out?
No. Well, I don't know. I'm going to say no.
I'm thinking you can still make noises, but I'm not sure it'd be. I think it'd be more. "Arr."
I mean, you can, yeah, you could probably still make noise. Whether it would be loud enough for others to hear is beside the point. Yeah, now is where we're seeing a lot of the handprints on the wall of the little kids. But are they? I don't think they're even registering what they're seeing. So whoever had that camera, that would be Mike, just fell to the ground. And this is Heather's camera, and from her perspective. And she's obviously not freaked out enough to. Oh, yeah, Johnny Devick, this house might not pass quality inspection. And she comes across Mike standing in the corner.
Standing against the wall, like the children did.
like Rusty Parr did. This, I tell you what, this movie just flew by. Um, I saw, so there are different versions of this. Um, there's an, I think there's a 3 hour version. Um, there's an hour and 27 minute version where you have like a little, you have a deleted scene.
Yeah,
Um,
I think the Blu-ray I've got has got the theatrical version, and then
mhm,
a festival cut that's maybe about 10 minutes longer.
mhm. Yep. Yeah, Eric. Oh man, that bit is scary. Um, so Fragler posted that picture. What movie is that from the Blair Witch game? Because I know there was a lot of talk in the chat about the Blair Witch game, which I have no
I mean, as
experience.
opposed to Ms. Swift, who appears to have posted Buster Rhymes,
um,
which is what they really needed in Woods.
yeah, and so Miss Swift is also good point. There were also alternative endings to this movie, as if this ending wasn't creepy enough. Oh, Fraglord, thank you. Resident Evil 7.
Resident Evil films. Ugh.
um, yeah, so Hell If I Know says still holds up. Eric says, yeah, it's still a great watch. Yeah, and even if the initial what mystique of this movie is worn off because we all know it's not real, I think this film, as a found footage, still holds up. Even though there's a couple of points where I could get a little nitpicky that it seems a bit forced for the plot, it's still very scary, very edgy, and it still does hold up. And yeah, so yeah, there you go. Um, so yeah, Fragler is saying, okay, so that is from Resident Evil 7, first person, and they have tapes for different survivals that the player can find. It's creepy. Films, not so much. So interesting. Interesting. All right. So Eric is saying still a great watch. Johnny Devick is saying I think it's good, maybe a bit distracted by the quality. Yeah. Um, righto. Well, gosh, that was. I mean, we're usually here for a little over 2 hours, but there we go. We got a short one today. Um, any last thoughts, Mister Pazuzu Project? Any last words?
I mean, I think it will never live up to the first time you saw it. I think when you're aware of the artifice behind it, because it's all built around the pretense of it being real, it really can't live up to its own mystique. It's still enjoyable. It's still unnerving. The cast is still bloody annoying, but
Yeah,
it's
at
never
times.
going to be as good as the first time I saw it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that goes without saying for this type of movie. Once that mystique is over, you can never unknow it. Just like the first time you watch The Sixth Sense, or when The Sixth Sense came out and it was this big hype, everybody avoided the spoilers.
Or the
So you
first
go to the
time you've
theater.
seen, or the first time you've seen Soylent
Yep.
Green, and not only do you get a brilliant twist ending, but it
Exactly.
explains 30 years of Simpsons in jokes.
There you go. Um, Yeah, and oh, Miss Swift, unnerving and annoying, wrapped up in a nice package. Very well said.
It
Uh, and Johnny Devick is
is a
mentioning,
nice package.
yep. And Johnny Devick is saying, "Stay the heck out of the woods." Seems to be the moral here. So yes, stay out of the woods. Mr. Furzel is going one step further and saying, "Don't underestimate Maryland, folks." So stay out of the Maryland woods. There you go. Um, Alex, sorry. Went 6 cents. I went to the bathroom at the wrong time. Yeah. Um, so once you see something for the first time, you can't go back and then see it for the first time ever. But you can still enjoy it for what it is and for what the Blair Witch is, even after all of these years. Still a solid watch, in my opinion, and it's still a lot of fun. And let's see. So we are coming to the end of our summer movie-thon. Next week, we're going to be doing the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Um,
Another film with annoying protagonists who you can't wait to die.
it can't wait. And Miss
You
Swift
you you you
told me
you
a good
too.
choice.
Well, you too will be have the feeling of you can't wait for someone in a wheelchair to be chainsawed because they are that annoying.
Yep. And we're going to be talking about all things slasher. We're going to talk about all things Texas Chainsaw. We're going to, we can dive into the franchise itself, the slasher franchise, and we're just going to have a whole bunch of fun doing it. So, yes, thank you, Miss Swift, posting that picture. Where the fuck am I? There you go. Don't go into the woods, folks. Um, anyway, any last thoughts? Anybody? Any last thoughts? We'll just wrap it up and we'll all have a good, safe, productive week. Be good to yourself. What? Be kind to the animals. Be kind to the animals.
Unless they're cats.
Oh, well, you're talking to a cat person here. I have 7
Dogs are
cats.
best. Be
Yeah,
kind, but not that kind. Be nice, but not that nice.
there you go. Be kind and rewind. That's what Blockbuster used to say. So, thank you all. We're going to do it again next week. So, we'll see you all. Thank you very much for joining us. It has been my pleasure being your host. Thank you, James, for being my co host.
Mm.
And thank you all for watching and being here. I love doing it. So, we'll see you next week.